Assalamu alaikum fam, hope you're doing well. Let's continue our reading of Nietzsche, the sassy frassy dude. Alright, let's see what he's got to say. We're reading digging into his Thus Spoke Zarathustra. You can look at it in multiple ways, right? You can definitely see metaphors and other points within the text. Both a, literal and witty type of angle. So, let's continue upon that. Nietzsche is a sassy character. He went insane because he got syphilis from a prostitute. He kind of died in agony. If you want to nerd out, go look up a skull, what it looks like when syphilis has deteriorated it. It just seems like a pretty brutal way to die. And his sister was insane. It's quite a weird lady. Alright, we're on number 8. When Zarathustra had said this to his heart, he hoisted the corpse on his back and started on his way. And he had not taken 100 steps when a man sneaked up to him and whispered in his ear, and behold, it was the jester from the tower. "Go away from this town, Zarathustra," said he. "There are too many here who hate you." Ouch. "You're hated by the good and the just, and they call you their enemy and despiser. You are hated by the believers in the true faith, and they call you the danger of the multitude. It was your good fortune that you were laughed at, and verily you talk like a jester." Oh, jeez. Oh my gosh. So you got this is like the jokester, the court fool, coming up to Zarathustra, who just witnessed previously the guy, pass away. And, it's going on this way. It's like, wow. Jeez. "It was your good fortune that you stooped to the dead dog when you lowered yourself so far. You saved your own life for today. But go away from this town, or tomorrow I shall leap over you, one living over one dead." Ouch. Could you imagine someone telling you that, like you're hated by the good, you were laughed at? This is like, whoo, jeez, man, he's giving it into him, isn't he? When he had said this, the man vanished, but Zarathustra went on through the dark lanes. So he just keeps going, right? At the gate of the town, he met the grave diggers. They shone their torches in his face, recognized Zarathustra, and mocked him. "Zarathustra carries off the dead dog. How nice that Zarathustra has become a grave digger, for our hands are too clean for this roast." Ooh, ouch. So the grave diggers say, what do they mean by that? Would Zarathustra steal this bite from the devil? Well then, we wish you a good meal. If only the devil were not a better thief than Zarathustra. He would steal them both. He will gobble up both. And they laughed and put their heads together. Oh, they're saying he's gonna eat the dead dog? Jeez. So, you get the grave diggers and the jester just digging into him. Just really giving him a go, look at that. Zarathustra never said a word and went his way. So twice. So when the grave diggers are taunting him, says nothing. Jester says something, says nothing. Noticing a pattern here. When he had walked for 2 hours, past forests and swamps, he heard so much of the hungry howling of the wolves that he himself felt hungry. So he stopped at a lonely house in which a light was burning. "Like a robber, hunger overtakes me," said Zarathustra. That's pretty interesting. That's creative. Heard so much hungry howling that he felt hungry himself. That's pretty cool. "In forests and swamps my hunger overtakes me, and in a deep of night my hunger is certainly capricious. Often it comes to me only after a meal. And today it did not come all day. Or could it have been? Now that's weird. His hunger only comes after a meal. What kind of hunger are we talking about then? Right? Some would argue that a thirst for knowledge, that's a hunger, that's an angst. Something propels you, like hungry, you're energetic for revenge, right? You got grit, you're hungry, you're hunting, like you're doing some type of movement forward. Really kind of is a play on words here. And at that, Zarathustra knocked at the door of the house, and an old man appeared, carrying the light. Notice how the gravediggers had a torch, put it in his face with light. Here the old man's carrying a light. Kind of really puts this vision of a torch bearer with the flames flickering with shadows upon the face, right? Kind of a spooky feeling. And asked, "Who is it that comes to me and to my bad sleep?" "A living and a dead man," said Zarathustra. That's a cool reply. Look at that. A living and a dead man. He's alive, but he's dead. He's hungry only after a meal. He's hungry by hearing the hungry howling of the wolves. He didn't say a word when the jester and the gravediggers came at him. You're noticing a pattern. "Give me something to eat and to drink. I forgot about it during the day. He who feeds the hungry refreshes his own soul. Thus speaks wisdom." Thus speaks wisdom. The old man went away, but returned shortly and offered Zarathustra bread and wine. "This is an evil region for the hungry," he said. "That is why I live here. Beast and man come to me, the hermit. But bid your companion to eat and drink. He is wearier than you are." The hermit. I kind of see myself as being a hermit in the future. It's quite interesting. Zarathustra replied, "My companion is dead. I should hardly be able to persuade him." The dog. I think he's talking about the dog. Is he still carrying that dead dog? "I don't care," said the old man peevishly. "Whoever knocks at my door must also take what I offer. Eat and be off." Thereupon Zarathustra walked another 2 hours. Geez, he's walking a lot. 2 hours before, 2 hours now. Must be something going on with these 2 hours here. Trusting the path and the light of the stars, for he was used to walking at night, and he liked to look in the face of all that slept. Look at that. He liked to look in the face of all that slept. Now remember, he said, "I am dead, but I am alive. A living and a dead man." Now when you look in the eyes of people and see their face, you see, the life in them. This is a play on words. Look in the face of all that slept. Facing it head on, right? You see it. Everything's sleeping, but he's awake. Something going on here. But when the dawn came, Zarathustra found himself in a deep forest, and he did not see a path anywhere. Well, he's walking in the forest, man. Kind of going off the trails here. So he laid the dead man into a hollow tree. Okay, he's carrying a dead man. For he wanted to protect him from the wolves, and he himself lay down on the ground in the moss, his head under the tree, and soon he fell asleep, his body weary, but his soul unmoved. That's a cool element. So, his soul is still strong, not shaken, not disturbed, but his body's resting. He's putting a corpse inside of a tree. How could you sleep next to a corpse that you just stuffed into a tree? I'd probably be like, it's kind of creepy, right? You'd be worrying. Also, there's wolves. Now, he's heard the wolves howling, but here it's like, wolves can come. They're going to maybe arrive when you're asleep. They can smell the meat. They might arrive. Kind of makes you get a little afraid, doesn't it? I'd be afraid. 9. For a long time, Zarathustra slept, and not only dawn passed over his face, but the morning too. At last, however, his eyes opened. Amazed, Zarathustra looked into the woods in the silence. Amazed, he looked into himself. So look at that. He's looking into himself now, introspection. Then he rose quickly, like a seafarer who suddenly sees land, and jubilated, for he saw a new truth. Look at that. So a seafarer, imagine it, he's looking, land, like you get that excitement. Have you ever had an idea come in your head where you're like, oh, yeah. If you get those ideas, write them down. And thus he spoke to his heart. An insight has come to me. Companions I need. Living ones, not dead companions and corpses whom I carry with myself wherever I want to. Hold on, let's reflect upon that. We know he's carrying a literal corpse. But think about that. Dead companions and corpses that he carries with himself. How many of our friends have passed away? You carry them inside you. They're dead, but they're living inside you. Right? The past is the past, but we carry these memories like a corpse that should be buried in the grave. But we drag it with us. Just like someone carrying a corpse. What is dead should stay dead. Others say, what is dead will never die. So it may be dead, but it lives on within you. You're carrying that corpse with you, right? Think about this really cool poetic way he's put it. He is dead as a man, but he's living. Now he's talking about having real companions instead of dead ones, who he can walk with, not have to carry. Carrying a burden instead of walking in a accompanied procession. Walking with a group of people who can all carry their own weight. There's so many different ways in which you can look at this statement. Living companions I need who follow me because they want to follow themselves wherever I want. Okay. Think about that. Living companions who follow me because they want to follow themselves. So there's a play on words there. They like you because they see something of themselves in you. They see something that clicks with them and is a reflection of their values. And so by following you, they also follow themselves. Think about that birds of a feather flock together type of statement. They're uniquely themselves, but they're in a group following someone who kind of regurgitates or agrees with their own inherited biases. So there's a lot of cool ways, both in a mean sense, but in a, passionate sense of ways you could look at what he just said right there. An insight has to come to me. Let Zarathustra speak, not to the people, but to companions. So notice, instead of the people who were not appreciating him, who mocked him, who weren't ready, now he'll have sort of companions, right? So, disciples, students. Zarathustra shall not become the shepherd and a dog of a herd. Notice, different types of leadership. Shepherd, you have your flock, you gotta go keep everyone in line. Dog kind of has to snap at the heels. Think about it. A shepherd, he kind of has to stop. Hey. Right? The shepherd directs the dogs what to do while moving the herd along. Whereas the dog waits for the command, enforces what has to be done, and will snip at the butt if need to. Right? He is wanting the other version, where he has companions who will willfully follow him, and it's a lot less stress, right? Oh, it's quite interesting. What do you think, fam? Just really brilliant. He who feeds the hungry refreshes his own soul, thus speaks wisdom. The carrying of the light example. My companion is dead, I should hardly be able to persuade him. So, getting creepy. He's just, put that dead man into a hollow tree. Wolves around. He goes to sleep, he's tired, but his soul is unmoved. He rises quickly, like a seafarer, jubilated. Notice, though, he's jubilated, he's more happy now, whereas he was walking and never said a word and went his way. He's jubilated now after his rest, but when the jester and the gravediggers were mocking him, he didn't say anything. Zarathustra has a sort of stoicism, yet he is arising in the morning, he's jubilated by an idea, and he wants living companions. So we're seeing a little bit of insights about what makes Zarathustra excited and what really makes him an even more unique character. What do you think?